maybe it releases.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the KAC Legislative Committee meeting. We've had stuff sent out to you and briefed by Jay Hall. The chairman of the Legislative Committee is Max Dibble, and I will turn it over the direction of the meeting to him.
Okay, thank you, Chip. We have kind of a short window that we've got to work with here today, so we get right into some of the things here. We've got one proposal that we received from Saline County on Community Corrections Director Anna Grievous. And so we're going to start out with, I think Anna's on, isn't she?
Yeah, Anna's on.
Yes.
You there? Okay. So what we'll do is we'll turn it over and let you go through the discussion on your request form.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I sent Jay a document, kind of a presentation of what the Kansas Community Corrections Association will be pushing to present through the legislators this session. But I brought this attention to our commissioners and our county administrator, Phil Smith-Haynes. And so we put this request so I'd have a little time, and I appreciate you giving me the time to do this. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the slide and the information. Did you all get that from Jay by chance?
I did not have a chance to get that out to them because you
Okay.
sent me the last version yesterday.
Okay, yeah, it's definitely a work in, okay, it's a work in progress. So maybe either I can get that out or you can get that out to them, but I'll kind of talk about it a little bit. So what Community Corrections has been going through is, and this isn't new to you, I realize, but the continued years of flat funding, 10 years, and reduced funding means that a total of $14.3 million is needed to restore across the state of Kansas agencies to provide public safety. Our turnover rate in community corrections is higher than the state average and local governments. 10% higher and 3 times higher than the national rate, according to the Bureau of Labor from 2021. And community corrections is at a 12% turnover rate, whereas our state local government is at 2% and our national rate's at 4%. I know you probably all know what community corrections is, so I won't go over that in detail, but every district has access to a community corrections agency, and the 28th district is the 5th largest in the state, and of course Johnson and Sedgwick top it out, and then there's several in the Northwest. But everybody is working with high risk, high need youth and adults convicted of felony crimes who are assessed to being high risk and high needs. And what we're seeing in the last 10 years is most of them are addicted to illegal substances, but they also have severe trauma related to mental illness or other traumatic events that happened throughout their life. And so community corrections has expanded to just supervision and providing those resources of services to becoming mental health services and making sure that those services are inside their departments so that those clients coming in on a regular basis have access to them. But the underfunding that has continued, flat and underfunding from the Department of Corrections poses a serious risk to the safety of our communities. I worry about continued ability to provide high risk needs and services to these clients. Our population is not going down, it's increasing. We're seeing a higher population of mentally ill and trauma victims that come to our department. And the dollars that continue to be cut or underfunded or flat funded just do not allow us to dedicate the time and the resources needed to continue to keep those clients in the community and not at a risk to damaging or hurting the public safety. the loss of the turnover, but also with what recently happened with the legislation through district court, we're losing trained, talented staff. I have 2 myself from the district that have applied to court services working in the district court within their home communities because they'll make more money and it makes sense. We're losing a lot of historical knowledge, and our hiring and our training for new qualified staff is being severely hurt. And that's all the way across the board of the state of Kansas. I'm going to speak for the 28th, and I can tell you that recently we advertised for a juvenile ISO staff member, and historically we would have anywhere from maybe 20 to 25 applicants. And we would interview anywhere from 10 to 12 qualified. This time, I think we had less than 15 and only 2 were qualified. And so we had 2 to choose from. And we didn't have time to wait and put it on hold because it's a high risk population of increasing youth. And we hired 1 out of that. And I can tell you right now, after what happened with the legislation in the district court, we start in the 28th District Community Corrections at $4.05 lower per hour than court services. So as our 28th District Court Services are hiring 3 to 5 new staff, I am trying to hire 1 youth. That got accomplished, but I'm also going to be hiring to expand our adult pretrial and our adult diversion drug court. And I have real fears about finding qualified staff while court services across the state of Kansas is hiring at that rate of pay difference. So that's just a local concern, but I do believe Stuart Little is on here, our lobbyist for KCCA, and Randy Regier, our president of KCCA. And I know it's happening in many other districts. And so when I'm done, maybe they could give a snapshot in a couple other districts if you have the time. But increased workloads, increased burnout, because as we continue to have flat funding or reduced funding, we lose the dollars. And it comes down to the director every year. Do you fund staffing and the things that are needed to do that? Or do you fund the increasing population of mentally ill, substance addicted individuals? And I just find it daunting. I've been doing this for 35 years. And when you come down to trying to serve the clients versus keeping enough staff so that your staff aren't carrying 50 and 60 high risk individuals on their caseload, it becomes frustrating. And I worry about the high risk of losing staff, but also the danger to public safety. So it becomes that our supervision is possibly less intensive, and fewer programs are designed to meet those increasing needs. And so based on that information, we are asking that KAC make this a critical issue, a critical priority in your platform this year. You have always supported us. You've always made it an issue, and we completely support that. We are a county agency. We're all involved in county departments across the state of Kansas. We're very active in Saline County and the 28th District because we have commissioners and a county administrator that supports us. And so we support back and try to do that. But we're asking that you add this as a critical component of your priorities this year on your platform to the legislators, because I think as this continues, these county departments that are supporting and great employees and add to the county are going to lose staff, increase violent and risky clients into our community, and we're going to lose the ability to provide all the services and the appropriate supervision for that. So that's why I submitted this, and I would encourage you to read through the information either Jay or I forward to you. And if you have a few minutes, I'd love for Randy or Stuart, if they're available or want to speak just a tiny bit about their individual districts or about a couple of large. I know that Stuart and I talked today in Wichita, Sedgwick County has suffered greatly also. So I see Randy there. Do you have a few minutes to take that?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to this group. I think that it is really important for the counties to advocate for this funding because this is the first year. I've been director for about 10 years. I've been with the agency for 25 years here in Reno County. And this is the first year that I had to go to our county and ask for funding because the state grant dollars was just not enough to support our program. I was looking at laying off 3 staff members just because of those budget cuts and because we do follow that OJA pay scale. So I think it's really important for the counties to advocate because more and more agencies across the state are coming to their counties and asking for that support since we're not getting on the state level. And again, as all of you understand, 10 years of flat funding, that doesn't meet the needs and it doesn't really meet what's needed to run these programs and run with high quality. So it is really across the state need. And again, as Annie mentioned, talked to Sedgwick County Director, she lost 5 staff just to this increase that court services received. So I think it's certainly a problem that is that's an issue across the state for us.
Thanks, Randy. Stuart?
Annie,
I'm sorry.
this is Mike Stibble. Hey, just for a little bit of history to bring us up to date, what currently is it strictly state funding that's available right now? Where does your funds all come from?
Okay, can you ask that answer? I'm sorry, can you ask that question again, please? I didn't understand completely.
Well, just for historical purposes, so that we're all understanding of the funding that's currently available, do you only receive state funding at this point for the community corrections?
Okay, so I'll talk specifically about the 28th district, but I know that every district has had to do different things to meet and make ends meet. So I receive state grant dollars, KDOC. I write federal grants. So we have a couple of federal grants that help support our drug court. We do local foundation grants, which support programming for our client base. We have county dollars that support part of our pretrial program and part of our drug court program. And every year lately, I've been asking for an increase so that we can continue to meet the needs. And I've been lucky that they see the value of what we're doing. And then this year I reached out to the city of Salina and we received their grant funds and got full funding. And so I may be a little unique, but I would guess that I'm not that unique in that I know that KDOC is going to flat fund us or reduce funding. And so I can't rely on state funds. And so I have to, as an agency, we have to reach out and find those additional dollars. But my fear is, as we continue to look for these other dollars, is that at some point it's just not going to be enough and it's just going to run out. And for us to go 14 plus years on flat funding from the Department of Corrections, it's not going to sustain itself, I guess is what I want to say. And I know that every district does not have the staffing or the availability to write that many grants. And so I don't know if Randy wants to speak a little bit different to a different district or how he does that, because we all have to, it's almost like survival of the fittest. It's just whatever you can do to make it work.
Okay, so like the ones that have county funding, do they all differ? You know, like each one's going to request a different dollar amount or mill levy?
Yes.
Any idea where that's at?
I could not tell you individually, and I cannot tell you about, I know that our district did not increase mill levies or have to do that to help fund us. I think we originally we did not get let's see, I've been working with the department or our department since 1987. And I did not ask for county funds until 2002. And that was to begin a drug court. And it was a deal where they gave some, the federal government gave some, I used some from other line items, and community corrections supported it. So kind of was a, let's test these waters and see how this goes. And they generously gave it to us. And ever since then, they've given us a little more. And then we started a pre-trial with those Slim County dollars also. Oh, and I should say just recently, Ottawa County, because we are the 28th district, Ottawa County in Minneapolis has also given us dollars for starting the new year in January to support staffing in the pre-trial and the drug court. So you see that we're very aggressive and looking for the funds. We will go and do what we need to do to meet the staffing and the client needs and the safety of both our communities that we serve. But I cannot speak directly to individual counties, how much they get from their counties. That could be something we can put together for you, but I cannot speak directly to that.
Okay. Dee has a question here.
I'm thinking about the whole process of mental health, not just in community corrections, but in the last year or two, probably almost going into the second year, the school districts decided that they need to have mental health workers in school. And I also know those people during the COVID process were on contract and they were not available in our county necessarily to take care of the kids that were sick, child in need of care, or processes like that. And I wonder if you would even be able to have enough people to keep funding the local mental health people and the schools and community corrections if we cannot figure out how to sometimes blend those services.
I don't disagree. I think that the mental health field is critical more than ever, and the services are becoming less and less. In our district, we got blessed with another federal grant that puts in a mental health caseworker 2.5 days a week in our office. And that person is funded with those federal dollars who can come in and work directly with our clients. But every time I look at the new year, I think that we're going to lose those dollars because the mental health dollars are going away. And we were hoping to be able to utilize some of those services through the school districts and others, but in our district also, we were not, there was not enough resources. So we've had to tap into this case manager that we designed for adult services, and we've kind of opened it for some juvenile services. But also because of the lack of mental health services locally, because of the needs and the increasing population, I just decided with the second in charge of my office, we're gonna we did a contract with a psychiatrist out of Philadelphia, and with his company and his work, we're going to have telemed in our office a couple of times a week. It's not inexpensive, it's pretty high dollar, but we're seeing our goal is that we'll see a better return because we have it inside our office. We're going to have care provided right then and there. And then we're working with 2 mental health providers outside of that. That'll provide the medical medication and services once he's done the crisis work. But that's not inexpensive. And, you know, I found the grant dollars to do it, but across the state, I'm probably pretty unique.
I'm speaking from the position of having been both rural and urban director of special ed responsible for kids with mental health issues within the school. And in my experience, because of the IEP, they cannot get out of the STEM courses, they cannot get out of sports, they can't get out of music. So when we get the kids who will, they'll discuss your parentage and sexual preference all in one voice, you cannot get to them to the free period because that's where the IEP puts remediation. So the idea that all the mental health people are in the school really defeats the issue of kids whose parents need to be part of the cure or the problem. And in Manhattan, we contracted with mental health to come to the school and bring either a caseworker or a person that could pick up the kid from school, take them to the doctor at mental health, and then work with the parents. All of that went away with this passion to put all of the mental health workers in school in the last 2 years at a great cost to the taxpayers. And then I see you guys not having sources nor the support that you need. And I guess I want to say that because that's part of the problem. I don't know if NAMI has taken a look at where people shifted in the last 2 years. That's the National Association of Mental Health, whatever NAMI stands for. But it would be nice for that data to come to us so that we could speak to the silos that have been created for government in schools, in government, in juvenile justice. It is impossible for a person in mental health in school to go to the courts and tell the attorneys what's going on if the child's on an IEP. But if they work for the Mental Health Association, they can go to the courts and help bring about corrections. We've lost that. And I guess I want you to maybe help us a little bit about how we might be able to do this correction with money already existing through thinking differently about mental health and how it sets in schools. The mental health people don't know the kids are in trouble until somebody refers them. And if they come into a classroom, that's a really vague system. I'm sorry, not these small schools do good, but in a large system, the kid is lost to the fact that they've been beat up. They don't get a good conversation, and it's really not serving well, but it feels to the public like it's a good idea. All right, enough. I'm passionate.
I like your passion. Thank you.
And another question, this Max, is there a possible mechanism that you have with counties that are already donating where you would come to the commission level prior to budget time with numbers or requests, or how do you propose to handle that?
I'm not quite sure I understood that question either. I am actually in Colorado and I'm sitting outside by a babbling brook. It's lovely, but I may have misheard some of that.
Well, what I was asking was that, you know, you've got some counties you said that are already, you know, are getting dollars to you from the county level. Will there be a mechanism in place where you come to the county commission prior to budget time with a dollar amount or a mill levy amount, and you know, whatever your request is going to be?
Right. Well, I can only speak for the 28th, but in our district, because we do so many other grants and we're on all different yearly cycles, I present to our county commission increased need, current need. I give them the data. I put everything together for that, and then that goes to through their process, and then we have a meeting and they go over and they talk about priorities of different departments and those things, and then I'm still waiting to find out from the county commission in our district to make a final decision for the new year. I don't know how the mill levy and how they adjust all that. We learned that a little later on. I do not think that our mill levy is impacted right now at the current requests that are going across the Saline County Commissioner's desks. I see Marilyn Leamer in here from, and she works in our HR, she manages our HR and other things. Marilyn might be able to answer that a little clearer than me. I just follow the procedure to submit budget requests and budget enhancements and those kind of things. Marilyn, do you have anything on that?
I think the commission are going to be reviewing the budget here in the next week or two. But as Annie said, there is a small amount of dollars that comes from the county and it doesn't fund the whole programs. It doesn't fund the whole, all the staff in drug court, and it doesn't fund all the staff in pretrial, because I think Annie is asking for a new position this year. And I think, you correct me if I'm wrong, that the plan is to fund part of that position. So of course you have to come up with the balance of that. You know, I think we'll know probably in the next couple weeks whether commissioners go ahead and approve what is being proposed.
I can speak because I've talked to directors. They've called me. Directors across the state have called me and asked me, how did you decide to approach the county? You know, we don't feel like, well, some directors will say, we don't feel like we're part of the county. And other directors will say, you know, I'm hesitant to ask them because the statute was developed and the front line was not that the county owed or had to fund community corrections. And I felt that way too. From 1987, before I started asking any money in 2003, we just tried to do it on survival mode. And how I respond to those directors is that you are a county agency typically, and that you do need to get yourself involved with county departments and county department meetings and letting your commissioners and your county administrators, everybody know about these funding dilemmas and the things that are just continuing to beat community corrections down when district court was lucky enough to have legislative matters taken care of and those increases and the increased in staff is coming down. And so it's important that they become involved with their counties. And so I think that directors all across the state do things differently, but I think that they are, with this continued flat funding and this such terrible increase of clients and our staff suffering, I think that they are going to venture into their commission meetings and start asking for those dollars. Randy, do you have a different answer?
No, I just think that this just emphasizes the importance of why we really want to ask for this money from the state. I mean, again, you know, this is a state mandated program, but because they're not funding us, that's causing us to go to the counties, and that we understand the financial struggles that our counties are dealing with. And so, you know, a lot of us as directors, we don't want to have to push that when we're hearing from our county administrators that the money's so tight and that there's a lot of other needs. You know, we'd really like to see this money come from the state, especially after this many years of flat funding. So it really is very county by county as to how they do that. But we'd really prefer to have that state mandated program funded by the state.
Okay. Well, we're getting short on our time. Is there any other discussion that you can give us that we can help with?
Max,
Jared?
I was wondering if some of the opioid settlement money would be diverted to community corrections. Does anyone know?
This is Jay. There is potential that some of that money could be diverted to that. The caution I would have is that money is not going to be like the tobacco money, in that we're not going to get that for years and years and years. That would only be a temporary solution.
I see.
Okay, thank you, Jay. Okay, other comments concerning the proposal that we got from Saline County? Okay. You know, we will be taking this. We have a third meeting set up where we'll make our decisions on these, but I certainly appreciate everybody presenting their information. And,
thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of that. And if we can participate further or get some more information to you, we certainly would do so.
okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, other discussions? We have anybody else on Zoom or in here that has items we need to listen to? Yes, Dan.
Conversation just made me curious. For surely part of this, it says in the state mandate something.
We do have a section, and the question was whether or not there's a way to determine other state mandates that aren't being funded. We do have a section in our legislative policy right now that deals with state mandates. And so this request would probably fit very nicely into that state mandate section that we have already, to add this as a portion of that state mandate section.
We do address a little bit of it. We'll just have to, you know, review the information we've got today and then see if we need to tweak our regular policy or not. So, okay, other questions on Zoom or in person? If not, looks like we are out of time. So appreciate everybody's attendance and everybody's questions, and we will discuss it at our next meeting. So thank you.
Hey, Max, if I may interrupt, this is Bruce at KAC. All of the commissioners that are online, if you folks would just stay put for just a little bit, I'd love to have finish up our meeting with you. So we'll just jump right into the meeting with the commissioners. All the rest of you are welcome to leave, and thank you so much again for serving with us both on the KAC board and then also the Legislative Policy Council. So thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.